You gotta kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you gotta take it up a notch.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
Who are you?
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
Cells. Interlinked.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
Hi, folks. Welcome to Debaser, a film podcast. I'm Mickey Mouse, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Goofy.
Hi, Mickey.
Your voice sounds a little different. On this show, we explore both new and familiar movies as we attempt to analyze and interpret them, all in an effort to debase the films and ourselves.
Okay, in my defense, I didn't know you were going to call me Goofy.
Yeah, I know.
So I didn't have a Goofy ready.
No, I was throwing you. I was doing it intentionally to throw your ass off.
At the same time, my inclination was to answer you and go, oh, and I almost did it, but then you threw me for a loop.
I was expecting like a gorge.
I was gonna give you a good hook.
I got you. That's the last one I'm doing for a while.
Nah, you'll do it next episode.
When we watch Arizona, I'll try my best. What the fuck is the name of that guy?
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. I'll try to do my
I
best.
would love to hear your Danny McBride.
I have to watch him more and more to get it.
I might have a Danny McBride in me.
There you go.
We'll see. Because I used to do his hot rod lines all the time.
Oh yeah, he's so good.
I love him. Anyway,
I know you do,
folks. Welcome to Debaser. As Mickey Mouse introduced, we're wrapping up Florida month.
This is the end of Florida month.
We're sad to see it go, but hey, maybe it'll be back next year. You know,
Oh, there are plenty of movies that take place in Florida that we did not do.
we could keep going, and June happens every year.
It does,
And,
although we probably need to do it in July instead.
So we might move Florida month because I realized
A little too
after
late.
the fact that this is Pride Month.
Yeah, we should have
And
done.
Florida is a state that is maybe not super friendly, especially right now in the news, to our LGBTQ friends.
Yeah.
So
That's our bad. Sorry.
yikes, that's on us.
That's a
We're
big-
probably
that's a
going to
big
move
yikes.
Florida Month when we do it again next year.
Yeah.
And also, and it coincides with Juneteenth.
Oh man, and we should have done the. I was going to shout out this movie at the end of the episode, but the one that you showed me that
Rosewood.
Rosewood.
The John Singleton movie.
Yeah, Rosewood.
It's a fantastic movie.
It's a bit of a miss. That's our bad. We
that's
suck.
that's our bad. We're gonna
We'll do better next time.
we're here to do better.
I can't wait till we do Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I've got so many cool facts about that movie. It takes place in Australia.
Oh,
It's very good.
for Australia month.
Yeah, for Australia month. Don't let me do Australia month.
God,
'Cause I'll fucking do it.
we're gonna go to jail.
No, Pacific Rim will be in that one.
Oh, well, that's for Mecca month.
Yeah, when we do Mecca
For Mecca
month,
May next year.
Mecca May. There you go. I love it. All right, enough hemming and hawing. The whole reason why I busted up my fucking Disney Mickey voice is because we're covering the 2017 film The Florida Project by Sean Baker.
That's right. The Florida Project is available on Canopy, Fubo, Paramount Plus, and Showtime. Canopy is free for anyone with a library card, so I highly recommend that streaming service to anybody. If you have a library card from an American public library, you can sign up for Canopy.
Everybody should go get yourself a library card.
Do it.
Just go get it. It's free.
Yep.
It helps keep your libraries open.
Yep.
A big good resource for people who may not have access to the internet.
Exactly.
Or research documents.
Great place to take kids when you need to entertain them. Yeah. Before I started school, my mom took me to the library every day because nothing else to do at home.
Nothing else to do at home.
We didn't have a computer back then.
If only the kids from the Florida Project had a library.
Yeah, that would have been nice. That would have helped out. So the Florida Project stars Willem Dafoe, Brooklyn Kimberly Prince, Bria Vinite.
I have no idea how to
Butchering that, I apologize.
spell it out for me real quick.
Vinaite.
Venite. Yeah, I think that's
Venite.
Venite.
It's close. Valeria Cotto and Caleb Landry Jones. You may not be familiar with
Any of them except
hardly
for
any of
Willem
those
Dafoe.
names except Willem and Caleb, because a lot of them are first-time actors. So the brief synopsis is set over the course of one summer. The film follows a precocious 6-year-old Monet as she courts mischief and adventure with her ragtag playmates and bonds with her rebellious but caring mother, all while living in the shadows of Walt Disney World.
Yeah, that sounds. I mean, that sounds exactly.
Good by you.
That's I approve. That wasn't AI generated. I could have
No,
told.
no, that's their actual.
Their
that's
actual
the tagline
synopsis.
from the studio. It was directed by Sean Baker, written by Sean Baker and Chris Burgos, Bergoch.
Oh, CH.
Yeah, that's the gauche that throws me.
Yeah, that.
Because it's like the Koch brothers too. Is KOCH.
Oh,
and
dude,
it always throws me for a
I'm
loop.
not even gonna take a swing at that one.
Let's go right past that. Both Sean and Chris also worked together on the film Tangerine,
Yes.
which you're familiar with.
Yeah, I haven't. Like I said, I haven't seen it,
Right.
but I do remember hearing the buzz of it
Same.
back when it came out because it was the first film to be done entirely on an iPhone.
Right. And he also did the film Red Rocket, which Tangerine is a critically lauded dramedy that follows a transgender sex worker, and Red Rocket is a black comedy that was similarly highly praised.
Oh, I haven't seen Red Rocket. I haven't even heard of that one.
I've been told I would like Red Rocket. However, I understand it is about a very shitty person doing shitty things, but it's still funny.
Okay.
Like, it's not completely revolting. Like, yes, you are, the main character is doing objectionable
Objectively bad
things.
stuff, yeah.
But it's still you're still along for the ride in the movie.
Gotcha.
Sean Baker also co-created a series that is near and dear to my heart, Greg the Bunny, and its spinoff, War and the Ape.
Oh, that's why it was playing in the background.
It shows up in the background in the show. One of the characters is watching it in a scene.
kind of the climax of the movie.
Oh, that's
in a
right.
way.
Yeah, because it was. It's pretty late in the film. Greg the Bunny was a sitcom starring a mix of puppets and live-action actors that spoofed movies. Much of the creative team from Greg the Bunny went on to make Robot Chicken.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Florida Project had a relatively shoestring budget of $2 million and grossed $11.3 million at the box office. The film received wide critical acclaim, with particular praise for the direction and performances of Willem Dafoe, Brooklyn Prince, and Bria Vinate. Again, apologies for...
Sorry, Bria.
I'm most likely butchering that.
It's okay. So one of the things that I like about this film is how Florida it is. It is
Hell yeah.
the most Florida of the 4 films that we watched.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Sean Baker is a really clever person. Like, obviously, the idea of doing an entire film on an iPhone is, ambitious. And even with this film, he calls it the Florida Project because that's what Walt Disney called the Disney World project, or how you say construction, back in the 1960s.
That was like his code name for it.
For
when
it,
it was
what-
in development.
Yeah, it was the Florida Project. And this movie takes place just outside, maybe 5 miles away from the, big Magic Kingdom gates that welcome you
Right,
to
like
Disney
World
property.
proper.
Yeah. This takes place on 192 in Kissimmee, a little bit further down from Old World.
Old Town?
Old Town.
Yeah.
Old World, Old Town. I mean, there is a medieval times, like maybe 2 minutes away from where they're living. So
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of Old World. But one of the things that the director wanted to I guess capture with this film is just how, not despotic, but how hard, I don't know, how real life exists just minutes away from the happiest place on earth. Like how
Such extremes of class.
Yeah.
Poverty, extreme poverty exists just moments away from a place of extreme excess.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt your
No,
your thought
that's
there,
that.
though,
Yeah,
but-
you completed my thought. Yeah, that's exactly what it was, and it was just a cool concept to come up with, and I feel like Baker captured fucking everything that has to do with the hellscape that is 192 in Kissimmee. You see all sorts of
or even just in Florida, because I've never
I mean,
lived in
yeah,
Kissimmee, but I felt like I knew these people.
Oh, yeah.
Like these were my neighbors. These were kids I went to school with.
Yeah. I have luckily have not known, I guess, people like this, like living in hotels week to week, but are you talking about like people who are just like down on their luck?
No one
kids that don't
I
realize.
probably did know people, but no one I was aware of lived in a hotel.
Yeah.
But the characters in this film, like, oh, I know those people.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely rode the bus with them, or,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that.
I gotcha.
Like, yeah.
But it was really cool to see a bunch of, you know, different things on 192. There's the helicopter tours that constantly
Fucking helicopter.
kept going off.
It shows up in the movie repeatedly,
Yes.
like maybe 30 times, and you hear it more than you see it.
Yeah.
Because it's so loud. And if you've been on I-4, you know the fucking helicopter we're talking about.
No. This one's on 182. The one that's on I-4 is in between David
different
Buster's.
helicopter? Yes,
Yeah.
it is. You're right.
This is the
it's
one that's
the
on-
same like model of helicopter.
Yeah,
where
it's the
that
exact
small
same model.
black helicopter.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking it was. But essentially, it is
It's
the
the same
same
thing.
style of helicopter. I always see it when I'm driving through Orlando, and I don't know, it's just cool to look at because it's always taking off or landing essentially
Always.
because every 30 minutes they're doing another tour.
Something along those lines, yeah.
But apparently that was diegetic in the film
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't, this is a relatively cheap movie. So they didn't have like helicopter
Yeah,
money.
they couldn't tell
it
the
was
helicopter
just
guys.
taking off and landing constantly while they were filming.
Yeah.
And but they must have like planned some shots around it because it's really framed well. Like there's a scene where it's just you just see it going by in a window as they're panning across like the hotel at one point, and I was
Yeah.
like, that's so damn good. But they had to have like synced it up on purpose, and the fact that it's on a schedule for the tours every
It was
so
really
often
easy for
probably
them to,
helped.
like-
They probably could call and get like the schedule for their shooting.
Fuck,
for
they
the
could have
day.
been there like the first couple of days and noticed the stupid helicopter.
Right,
keep
or just
going.
time their watches to it.
All right,
Yeah.
somebody keep track of that fucking helicopter.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's other really neat little landmarks that you see throughout the film. Orange World, I guess where you get free oranges.
Like a tourist center for oranges.
The Wizard Shop. But yeah, there's a big old store that has, Disney themed merchandise.
One of
with
those
the-
fucking tourist ass traps where it's
It's got a giant wizard on the front.
yeah, oh the wizard one too is different than the 2-story one that I am more familiar with.
Oh, you're talking about the one with the mermaid on the front?
Is it yeah, it's like
Yeah.
like a mural on the side. Yeah,
So fucking good.
all of these are like Orlando Kissimmee like icons. Like,
Oh yeah, if you've ever been to Kissimmee, like say you're not from Florida, which if you're not from Florida, why are you listening to us?
but please keep
I know,
listening.
keep listening.
Don't turn off the pod.
I'm sorry, Jared. We can't fuck with tourists. That's my bad. Anyways, if you've ever, been to Disney World on a long weekend, you decided to, for whatever reason, travel, down the road to Old Town or Machine Gun America or what have you, you would see all the things that we're talking about. The Wizard Shop, the Mermaid Shop, fucking Orange World, the damn Sam's Club that keeps showing up on Seven Dwarfs Lane. Also that was another neat little thing. Having Disney themed roads like in the same shot of these kids just running around without any parents. The same when Haley is bringing her daughter back home after losing, like having that golf cart cop stopping them.
Right, when they're selling perfume. Yeah.
It's one of the things that Baker was going for.
Yeah.
Was this is kind of like sad, tragic, and shit. And Disney's influence is fucking everywhere. I mean,
Yes.
At one point, Haley, do you want to do a synopsis, like a rundown of the movie, or?
I was going over that in my head. I
Yeah.
don't know that it's worth doing a primer of the plot because it's not a heavily plot focused movie.
It was a lot like Spring Breakers in a way.
I wouldn't call this
It's not a tone poem.
vibes based.
No, it's definitely not vibes
Could
based.
almost say tone poem.
But there's a script and there's things going on and there's
right,
no.
and there is a climax and so on and so forth. But it's really just vignettes of a day in the life of a girl growing up impoverished, in a needy family, essentially.
And not really knowing that that's the case.
Oh yeah.
She thinks
and
it's
her and her
normal.
friends, right, and then what the trials and tribulations that her and her mother and then the people around her go through, and it does culminate in a bizarre final scene that is evidently
Polarizing.
polarizing. Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say off-putting, but polarizing's better.
Yeah.
And I can see why they went there. You know, it's like at the end of Grease when they fly away to the moon.
I've never seen Grease.
Okay, so Grease.
No. I know what Grease is about. I've never seen it. I've never seen the movie. I'm so sorry.
I wish I used another analogy.
No, it's okay. It's okay. But like,
that was the most extreme one I can think of because it ends on such a weird. They just fly away.
Yeah, it makes sense though. Like if you ask, you know, some 6-year-old kids that live right outside of Disney, hey, what would you want to do?
Right. So the film is a very realist movie, and a lot of the things that are happening in the film like are things that kids wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
But then as the film is ending, you know, DCF is trying to take away
Mooney from her mother.
Yeah, the main character from her mother, for various reasons, and so she runs to the other hotel across the street where her friend lives.
Yeah, her new friend Jancy.
And she's crying, and she's like, "I just came to say bye because like this might be the last time I ever see you." And then the other girl grabs her hand, and then the camera switches from the actual film. I think it's a 35 millimeter camera that's been filming the entire movie.
Sure.
And it switches to an iPhone because you could tell it's heavily stabilized.
Yeah.
And the shot quality goes down.
Yes.
And they just start running. And there's a montage of them running through different places in Kissimmee. And then they just end up in Disney World. And they're just running through the park. And it's, you know, it's wonderful, but it's fantastical. And it's like clearly, if the girls could do anything right now, this is what they would do. Like, they want to get away. It is it's a way to imply a happy ending over a story that clearly doesn't really have one.
Exactly. And then what do you do when you go to Disney? You escape.
Yes,
It's escapism.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blew out the mic when I said yeah. There,
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, no, it's I did know that when they went to film in Disney, the film crew and the kids actually got to spend the day in Disney.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was it? I didn't see this when I researched it, but was that like what is it called when they shoot illegally, like without a permit or permission?
I don't know, but I do actually have another movie that I do want to.
I know what it is.
Escape from Tomorrowland?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're not talking about that right now, but we'll get to the.
Have you seen it?
Oh, yeah, I watched it.
Is it good?
We can talk about that later.
Okay.
I want to talk about this one
I'll
first.
sit on that.
Yeah, it's okay.
I've never seen it because yeah, it's fine.
It was on Netflix, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm doing it."
Right.
Yeah. So, what do you want to talk about this film? Do you want to talk about the characters, like what you liked, what you didn't like?
Absolutely, because that's the best thing about this film is it's the characters and the setting.
Exactly.
Because this movie 100% gets Florida right, and I don't even think Sean Baker lives in Florida or is.
I have
from
no
Florida.
idea.
I think he's a Los Angeles-based person.
I thought Tangerine took place in Atlanta. Did it not? Did it take place in
I
LA?
think it's set in LA.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, either
It's
way,
definitely not set in Florida because I was double checking.
Yeah.
I was like, is that a Florida movie too? Should we save that for the next one? But it's not set in Florida.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the movie opens with just the kids, and then they run away, and so we just have like a still frame almost of the purple stucco. Because the entire hotel is the Magic Castle,
Yes.
which the 90% of the movie takes place in, is called the Magic Castle. And of course, it's called that because nearby is the Magic Kingdom.
Yes. It's a
And-
good way to fuck up your SEO and get you to get stuck there.
Or to perfect your SEO, honestly.
Oh, that's true,
And it's
yeah.
how the Brazilian tourists end up there by accident.
And you know what? Brazilians love Disney.
100%. That is a quote from this movie, but it is
100%
goddamn true.
true.
Because once when I was visiting the Coliseum of Comics store,
in
which
Kissimmee,
is
yeah.
in Kissimmee,
Yeah.
I was at the time hunting for a Play Arts Kai Batman action figure from Arkham City.
Yeah.
And I had asked, like, hey, I saw that you guys had one of these in stock, but, like, I can't find it in the store. And he's like, they're all gone, man. I'm so sorry. And I was like, what happened? Because he looked traumatized when he told me. And he was like,
I got swarmed by a bunch of Brazilians.
yes,
and they're
a
going to resell
busload
it.
of Brazilians. Yeah, because he's like, a bus of Brazilian people will just, like, tourists, like, just pulls up. And they all get out and they just buy everything in the store.
And
like
then-
it's great for them.
Yeah.
But that means they can't keep anything in stock
Yeah.
too. And it's just wild.
Jason told me that would happen at the GameStop that he worked at too.
Yeah. I know the outlet stores in Orlando too also like just get flooded with tourists because everything is so cheap there and they don't need to pay like the import fees and
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
And you can't fuck with tourists.
No, it's why Florida
Exists.
essentially and isn't like a struggling state. Yeah.
But anyways, so they do get a lot of Florida Right.
Yes.
And
where
it's
I was
mostly
going with
in the characters. Yes.
The still frame at the beginning.
yeah, the stucco.
We sit on the purple stucco, and I turned to you and I was like, even in the opening shot here, the stucco just screams Florida to me.
Yeah.
Everything is stucco here, and I don't think of another state when I see stucco. I only think Florida. I think even the Marx Brothers have a movie about there was a population boom in Florida around right after World War II.
Yeah.
And everything was being built out of stucco. Like, it was a wonder. It was like the plastic of its time. It was a wonder. You could build so much so fast and so cheap with it.
You can have any kind of a home you want to. You can even get stucco. Oh, how you can get stucco.
Yeah, we also get, there was like an improvised scene with sandhill cranes.
Yeah, so the sandhill cranes show up at one point in time right in front of the movie, and so sandhill cranes here are protected. You can't mess with them. You can't touch them.
I mean, you're not supposed to.
You hit one, and you're in a lot of trouble. And Willem Dafoe's character comes out, and it's like, "Hey, good morning, boys. How you doing?" And he just like tries to.
Well, he's trying to usher them off because they're in the driveway.
The driveway,
of the hotel.
yeah.
They're right in front of the office there.
and people have to stop.
I read too when I was researching that those sandhill cranes were always there. They would walk up to the office and just bang on the glass, and the crew had to keep shooing them away so they could get shots, and so they worked them into that scene. And that's one of the best scenes in the movie, and it's in the trailer.
Yeah, it's in the trailer.
Yeah, it was a big trailer shot. I remember.
But that's actually something, not to pull us away from talking about the characters, but that was another really neat thing. I think that they played a lot with the weather here in Florida. There's a scene where Haley and Mooney are playing out in the rain because there's nothing better to do. And, it was one of those sun rains where, it's clear skies, but rain's still falling. And you were like, man, they had to probably film this in 3 different sequences because it probably, the rain probably kept, starting and stopping.
Yeah, because the rain here, it never really lasts. It's always brief. Especially right now in the middle of summer, you get like a 10-minute storm.
Yep.
It thunders longer than it storms. Like you hear it coming and you sense it coming, and then it rains heavier than you've ever seen it in your life, and then it's just done. And then all of a sudden the sun's out, and it's like it never happened unless you look down at the asphalt.
Yeah. So I think that there were like a lot of impromptu shots based on what was happening outside. Like, oh, hey, it's raining. Let's go fucking film a rain sequence. Why not?
Right.
And
everyone's sweaty. All the
everybody's
time.
sweaty.
Every time they're walking, and I'm sure it was 90 fucking degrees the whole time they're filming.
I pointed out at one point Haley is walking towards the camera. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, she's sweaty as shit. You could see it all on her shirt.
Was drenched.
Yeah.
And they're walking alongside
yeah.
the road in Orlando, or Kissimmee.
Kissimmee, yeah.
It's the same thing essentially for
Right,
people
yeah,
who live here. But it had to be hot because walking alongside the highway is like one of the hottest places to be in Florida.
So I actually mapped out a lot of where they were walking, starting with the Magic Castle, which no longer exists. It's been out of business, and I think they destroyed it.
The Magic Castle?
Yeah.
Like since the pandemic?
It's gone. It's no longer in business.
Because I was just reading an article about it in 2020. There were people living there.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's gone.
I know at least 3 places that were, locations for this film have now been closed or destroyed. One of them was the, apartments or model homes that they burned down in the film.
Yes, those have definitely been destroyed.
Because you mentioned like they're not there anymore.
Yeah, I remember driving past them when I was younger, and they were aquatic themed. They had like dolphins, turtles, and whales on them, whatever.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, they refurbished them and painted them in these gaudy, bright, like purple, yellow, lime green.
Yeah.
And in this movie, one of the kids starts a fire because there's a fireplace and these places are abandoned.
They're messing around in an abandoned building and
they're
having
being
fun,
6-year-olds.
and they decide to set fire. Yeah.
And they accidentally burn one of them down. And I think that it had to have been planned. Like they saw those buildings and heard that they're going to be demolished soon, and was like, well, fuck it, let's incorporate that into the story.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Magic Castle and the Motel 6, which was Futureland, are right across the street from each other. They're like, oh no, Futureland is, fuck, that's quite a walkway down. Futureland is in right behind Machine Gun America.
Oh, okay. Which we get a shot of a lot in the film.
Yeah, and then the Waffle House is actually around the corner where Sam's Club is, and that's a walk.
Yeah.
And then obviously Machine Gun America is where Machine Gun America is. But if you did all of this walking in a day, it would be like 9 hours of walking.
Oh my God.
And they're constantly walking from Magic Castle to the Waffle House or to Futureland.
Right.
To go get John C. And these kids are walking by themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, 6-year-old kids just running around all the time.
Yeah.
Florida is notorious for its pedestrian deaths. I believe we are, if not number one, at least in the top 3 in the nation for pedestrian deaths, because we do not have walkable cities, like, at all.
No.
We are really bad about sidewalks, crosswalks, you name it. We're just terrible infrastructure for, I mean, also for drivers, but especially if you are riding a bicycle or walking.
Tell me how you really feel, Jared.
It's a whole thing that I never really realized until a few years ago, because there's been a big push for making cities more walkable.
Right.
And now it's like I see the Matrix now. Like everywhere I look, I'm like, oh, so many people get hit by cars all the time because this is how it's designed. And people think it's only that way. Because like people get mad at pedestrians and bicyclists because they're in their way when they're driving. And it's like, well, you don't understand. You don't own the road. The road is for everyone anyway.
It's a PSA from Jared Rusk. So let's talk about Willem Dafoe's character.
Yes.
Bobby. Obviously the most seasoned actor, probably one of the best. This is the best performance in the movie. He definitely sells it.
The kids are doing a remarkable job.
For being first-time actors.
Yes.
And being like 6 years old, it's unreal.
But Willem never disappoints.
No.
Especially, I believed he was Florida man. Like he was Friend's dad, and just even the way his hair is cut differently than it is in any other movie he's been in. It just looks like he just looks like a Florida man from behind perfectly.
Yeah.
He's got the the wraparound sunglasses hanging off his neck at all times.
Yep.
The walkie-talkie in his back pocket and his Bugle Boy jeans, basically. He has this character down to a T.
Yes. So
oh my God.
The thing is and I told you this while we were watching it, the guy who did manage Magic Castle requested Willem Dafoe to portray him.
That's wild.
Yeah, I know, right? Like that's a big
and Willem will do smaller, indie features.
Yeah.
He's
not
above
the
it.
Lighthouse.
Right. He will work with interesting creatives, and not necessarily be like, well, you're going to have to pay me out, like that kind of, or he drives a hard line about, having to be paid.
He does
out
it
like
for the
star
art.
that he is. Yeah, absolutely. He can be in the Spider-Man trilogy, and then he'll turn around and do the Boondock Saints, and To Live and Die in L.A. to the Florida Project, he's all over the map, and it's wonderful. We love the guy.
Yeah, so I think the reason why he was really believable is because they got to spend time with the old manager of the Magic Castle, and they got to hear the stories of things that he had to do. And one of the things that he did talk about was how he felt like it was part of his responsibility to look after the children that live in the hotel. And I think that inspired the scene where Willem Dafoe catches a creepy old guy talking to the kids.
Yeah.
And, going out. And it's the other thing, too, is dealing with the human want to help those that are down on their luck while also being the person who lives in a society where you have to follow whatever rules that are imparted upon you.
He's also the enforcer for those rules.
Yes,
at this
and he has to be,
establishment.
even though he probably doesn't want to. Like, yes, there are points in the movie where he hits his limits, but at the main thing that this guy is for these people that live in this hotel is a person who is trying his best to help out within the path, the hard path of wanting to help, but also having to keep his job.
Right. He's trying to ride that line.
Yeah.
Very in a balanced way, because he doesn't want to make any of their lives harder, but you can tell he's being pushed by, he's having to constantly needle them about being late on the rent. And he's like, listen, if you're going to be late, you need to tell me, presumably so that he can prepare or have some kind of excuse, prepared for when the boss or the management asks.
That threat is always ever looming, because he's only in like 2 scenes, but every time that the guy shows up, he rides Willem Dafoe's ass
Yep.
pretty hard. Like, these bikes have got to go away. This is like a, illegal, this, that, and the other. And
He's like,
so
you got to write letters to all these people or tell them we'll kick them out in a week if they don't do it.
And
Williams always hustling to clean up and be very strict when the boss is around.
yeah, and he also does try to work with the characters. He tries to help Haley because he can't have long-term tenants. So he does that whole thing where they get a spare room. They have to put their shit in that spare room, and then they go across the street to the Arabian Nights hotel, where they get a cheap room for the night
for the same rate that they get at
the other one,
the Magic Castle.
Yeah,
but of course,
times are a changing.
Well, and I think explicitly in Haley's case, when she goes to get a room there across the street, the owner doesn't want to rent to her because she's. I'm assuming because she doesn't want to rent to Haley.
Yeah,
Haley
that makes
is
sense.
a problem customer.
Yeah,
she doesn't pay on time. She causes scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a good time to let's just dive into her character.
Yeah.
Haley is unfortunately one of our tragic protagonists. She is a young mother who doesn't have a job, doesn't have a steady way of income. She has to hustle in order to keep her head afloat. She relies on the relationships she has with other people in order to feed her kid. And she's that the if you give a mouse a cookie, is gonna want a glass of milk, and ever so long, giving her an inch, she takes a mile.
Yeah.
But she has to, because
it's how she knows how to survive.
Exactly. And you never see her parental figures. You don't have how do you say, other characters above her,
right, that
give you inform you of how she was raised. You can only go off of what she's doing. So she's got a lot of tattoos, she's got a lot of piercings, she smokes weed. She can't hold a job. Whenever she is confronted for anything that she does, she immediately gets aggressive, blows up, and she almost kind of has a unnerving confidence in everything that she does. Even towards the end of the film, when she knows DCF is there to take her kid, the way that she's filmed walking, her head's held high, she's got a swagger to her.
She's kind of defiant about it.
Yeah. That's actually a really good descriptor. She's defiant in all ways, and she's doing the best with what tools she has. And unfortunately, that's whatever bad influences were imparted on her are now being imparted on to her daughter. The way that she interacts with her daughter, in a way, is setting her up for failure as well, which is really unfortunate. Yeah. And when Haley ends up down, at her lowest point, she starts to do sex work in order to
pay the rent,
but B, continue to hustle, because we had that great scene with the guy whose name I can't remember, but he's in Blue Ruin and I fucking love him. Oh, I don't remember. It's I'll look him up in a second, but there's a great scene where you kind of finally understand why Haley keeps putting Mooney in the bathroom.
Yeah, we keep cutting away to Mooney taking a bath, and I made a joke because I was like, it's almost like she's taking one long bath throughout this whole movie, because multiple days will go by and then it will cut back to her in the bath. But we realize that that's because that's where Mooney is while Haley has her clients over, and the radio is blasting in the bathroom, so presumably so that Mooney can't hear anything.
That's right.
But there's a scene where one of the men that's over walks into the bathroom to use it and doesn't realize there's a kid in there.
Oh shit, there's a kid in there.
Yeah.
Macon Blair is the
Macon Blair
actor,
from
yes.
Blue Ruin.
Blue Ruin,
Great
Green
movie.
Room, and the other one, the trio that director did.
I didn't see the last one.
I've seen all three of them. They're all great. They're really fucking good.
Yeah, they're great movies, but really, like this movie, they're
Murder Party is the third one.
I have seen all three of them. Sorry,
Yeah, it's really good. Not good.
But yeah, Blue Ruin and Green Room can take a lot out of you, especially Blue Ruin. That one was a real great movie, but a real downer.
Real downer. But she steals this guy's Disney bands. which I had to explain to you what they were in the middle of the movie. But
Yeah, because like I'm vaguely aware of them, but they're like a very high end product of Disney's. That do you want to go into your whole spiel about them again? Or?
If you're from Florida and you've been to Disney, especially if you've been a Disney pass holder, you know what these little things are. They're called magic bands, and this is the most ingenious thing Disney has ever done, other than like buying all their competitors
in terms of like big data.
Yeah, so basically this thing, you can use it to access your hotel rooms, access the parks. You can link a bank account to them so that you don't have to take out your credit card to, buy goods inside the park. But they also track your movements while you're in the park. So Disney can get data on where people are spending their money, how much time they're spending in lines, how much, what attractions are the most visited.
Yeah.
It's fucking ingenious, and those stupid little bands make it into this movie. Haley steals her John's bands from him and sell them to other tourists for significantly less than what they were actually worth.
Yeah.
She sells them for like $400,
and we find out they're worth like $1,700.
It's unreal.
Yes.
And that was another like really good detail, like not only is Disney the happiest place on earth, but it's kind of an informal business for everything that surrounds it.
It has created an entire economy around itself. Because if, like we were saying earlier, if you've ever driven through Orlando or Kissimmee, you'll see all of these businesses that exist on the outside of it because Disney is there. Everything from your tourist trap shops, restaurants. Even there's so many businesses that are just cheap theme park tickets. Is usually what they have on the sign.
Yeah, I've never been in one of those, but
no,
Haley
shouldn't.
Well, but Haley like stops people from going in there and to sell these magic bands, and then she tells them like, "Oh, you don't want to go in there.
Right?
They're gonna try to sell you a timeshare." Is that true?
Yes, they are also timeshare places, because how you get the cheap tickets is you agree to buy a timeshare. Right. So you sit through the timeshare presentation, you get the ticket. You don't necessarily have to sign up to buy the timeshare, but
you are wasting your time.
It is, yes, and it is an incredibly high pressure sales affair. Like those people are on your ass. Like all they need is your signature before you walk out of there, and you're on the hook for it's like a few $100s a month. Folks, do not buy a timeshare.
To close out Haley, the one thing about her is she does care about her kid. And she does all of this stuff just to keep her kid taken care of,
Yeah.
And
it may not be...
It may not be the way that you want to take care of your kid, but like...
Or even in a way that the state approves.
True.
And who could, honestly. It's rough.
It is.
It is why the film is such a hard watch, because even from the opening scene of the film, we know that the kids that are growing up in this hotel are not in a good environment.
Yeah.
And they are acting in a way that emulates their parents, like as all kids do. But it's troubling. It's not good. They're offensive. They're rude. They're saying things I don't understand.
They're feral.
To use your, terminology, they're feral.
I love that shit. They're ratchet biatch.
It's immediately you realize their vocabulary is troubling.
Yeah.
It's rough. And we all knew kids like that growing up.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, what was it like being homeschooled?
All right, so let's move on to our protagonist, Mooney. What can you say about a precocious little 6-year-old that doesn't give a single fuck?
At first, I found her really rough around the edges, and I didn't like her. But then, I don't know, the more time you spend with her, you're like, oh,
she doesn't know.
I get it. She's a product of her environment. She means well. She's just emulating her mom, which she doesn't think her mom is a bad person.
No, she looks up to her mom.
Acts the way she does and yells at adults the way she does.
She doesn't
exactly what Haley does.
She's a fucking anarchist, and I'm here for it, man. She doesn't give a single fuck. I love that this kid is so entrepreneurial at the age of 6. Like, let's go to the Twisty Treat and fucking beg for money.
Beg people for money.
This is where and I quote, "This is where we go to get free ice cream."
Yes.
It's so good, And
the second they're told to leave, or they're ever chided by an adult, they do exactly what Haley does, and they turn around and yell, "I don't have to listen to you.
Yeah.
Shut up. Don't talk to me." Like, just defiance in a vulgar way that's just shocking for a child that's so young.
But also like in an innocent way too. Like the
Right, because they don't realize
any of the things that they're doing is wrong.
right,
Yeah.
and how serious or shocking they are, for who they are.
Yeah, like when they burned down those ugly ass apartments.
That they knew was bad,
Well,
because they all shut down when
right,
they
right.
go back.
but when the consequences of that is her buddy Scooty, who I don't know if you said his actual name, but we'll get to him in a minute.
I have not.
That's fine. Scooty's mom works at a Waffle House, and that's where Mooney would go to get free food.
Right, Scooty being the boy, 6-year-old that Mooney hangs out with.
Yeah. And Mooney asks his mom, who works at the Waffle House, hey, where's Scooty? What's going on? And, the mom basically tells them, you can't hang out with my son anymore.
Yeah.
And
Don't come around here anymore for food anymore either.
Exactly.
I can't feed you, yeah.
And she doesn't understand. She really doesn't get it. And I think that's just because she doesn't like understand the consequence, like the gravity of what they did.
Right.
You
I don't think she knows that the mom knows what they did either at the apartment.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so eventually it gets to Haley, and Haley realizes that the mom doesn't want to hang out with her anymore either. So it's the first confrontation in the hotel room.
No, that's the
second.
That's the
that's a follow up, because that's when she accuses her of.
Yeah, of being a sex worker.
Right.
And then, shortly after that, DCF shows up, and it's really bad. And like the innocence of this child is 100% lost by the end of the film because of the whole DCF incident. Mooney is saying goodbye to Scooty, and she doesn't really like know what's going on. And Scooty, makes an offhand comment because children don't know how to keep their mouths shut.
Yeah.
My mom says you're, going to a different family.
Yeah.
And then, the little girl finally pieces it all together. And then
and
we
she
have
gets upset and runs away from the cop.
we
and
get
the
that
social worker.
jarring Disney sequence
Right.
afterwards. But, I don't know. It was interesting to have like a kid who has never acted before.
Right.
Just
nail it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that the direction that Sean gave the kids was like, I don't fucking know. Do what kids do. and that's for the most part what they do.
That's the problem with acting, is like people don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Like once you turn the camera on, they can't just be themselves. And children are particularly tricky because they maybe don't already know how they act in general. Like go to a playground, like what's happening there? All the kids are just emulating what they have seen and heard, both at home and on TV. Mm-hmm. They don't really have their own personalities yet. So that's why child acting can be so delicate.
Yeah.
And it's always like
it's a
real
razor's edge.
Right. If you're going to have a good child actor,
Yeah.
not everybody can be Jacob Tremblay.
Yeah, I know. The kid always kills it. It's fucking crazy.
Perfect kid.
Yeah. I not to go on a tangent, but I saw him in the credits for something I didn't realize he was in.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
And I was like, motherfucker,
and
of course
he's got
it's him.
siblings too that are
does he
also
really?
actors. Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
And they always show up, and you're like, what the fuck? There's another Tremblay?
They were all made in a lab.
Yeah.
Those kids are not real.
Yeah. He's you've seen Dr. Sleep?
Yeah.
He's the kid that they kill.
Oh, really?
It's so good. That scene is incredible.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I remember like a behind the scenes thing where they were asking the actors about the scene, and they were like, was that difficult shooting? And they were like, yeah, after the director called cut, like all the adults are just walking away and just like, in silence because it was brutal.
Yeah.
Like you don't kill kids often in movies. Like it just doesn't happen.
We should normalize it. We should normalize it. And Jacob gets up and he's like, hell yeah, that was awesome.
Right. Yeah, and then they all looked at Jacob, and he just pops up and he goes, hey, Dad, and walks over to craft services and starts shoving his mouth full of food. And they were like, he was fine. It did nothing to him.
Dude, because he's not real, dude. He's a lab
He is an
experiment.
android. But
It's
God
true.
bless the android children actors, because they're not allowing another generation of child actors to grow up and be completely fucked.
That's true. So you got more comments on Mooney?
We got off on a big tangent there. What were we saying?
Oh, we're talking about just how the main character, the 6-year-old kid, was nailing
Right.
it.
The actors, especially the child actors, are really impressive. Honestly, even Haley, I was shocked, was a first-time actress.
Yeah, you said that Sean found her on Instagram.
Right. Yeah, the director found her on Instagram, apparently.
And her only film credit before this movie was being a background dancer in
like a music video.
video.
Yeah.
I don't even know which one.
That's wild, because she's great.
She does a good job.
Yeah.
What about the what about Scooty? Do you want to make the comment about Scooty?
So Scooty,
Yes.
the younger boy that plays with Mooney and
Jancy.
Jancy.
What kind of name is
I always
Jancy?
wanted to say Janice.
Yeah, no,
Jancy.
Jancy.
He was actually a tenant of the hotel, or at least one of the hotels nearby, and Sean Baker found him and cast him in the movie.
What a stroke of luck.
Wow, truly. Yeah.
And that kid was pretty
Great.
decent. Yeah,
he's
took-
not in a lot of it, but he's great.
I think that he wasn't in a lot of it, probably because like maybe he had to move around, or maybe he had something.
Maybe
to
he
do.
wasn't available. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, man. Yeah.
But I was like, I want to see either the script or what was written for
Yeah.
this film, just to see how much stuff was improvised, because it feels like,
So
oh, okay, you got something for
a
this.
lot of it was almost all the kids' scenes. Their dialogue, at least the kids' dialogue,
Yeah.
was improvised. The
I'm not
director
shocked.
just told the kids, "Hey, just play."
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I had heard that, but
Yeah.
it's good to have that confirmed.
Yeah,
That's
and you
good.
can tell because it's hard for kids to do lines. Typically.
Oh, yeah.
and I think that's part of the art in directing kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's don't give them an Aaron Sorkin script to memorize and recite.
Where they have to do like a long monologue about
where they
Justice
walk down a long
Society.
hallway and they just recite 6 pages of script in about 30 seconds or less.
Yeah, it's just so stupid.
Listen, I love Aaron Sorkin.
No, he's a good writer, but
He sucks, but he's awesome.
He does suck. He's the most liberal that ever liberaled. All right, so I'm gonna wrap our Florida project segment up with the bow on top. So we've been all around Central Florida and a little bit of South Florida,
Yes,
but this movie does end us back in the hometown of me and you, Polk fucking County. The DCF officers are going to take Mooney away, and they've got an adoptive family that's really nice, and they live in Polk County, and I want to know who that family is, because that family is not nice.
the fact that they name dropped Polk County was so fucking funny. But like, they didn't have to do that.
Nope, they didn't.
They didn't even have to say where.
Yeah.
That's so funny that they said Polk. Like, oh my god, I want to know how that happened.
Well, because Polk County is not that far away from
No, it's very
Osceola.
close. It's maybe a 20-minute drive at best from where they are.
Depending
right?
on I-4 traffic. Depending
and-
on Disney traffic.
and where you're going in Polk County.
Yeah.
Too. But yeah, I was shocked. What a beautiful note to end on. Maybe there's a handful of movies that were actually shot, but maybe not set in Polk County.
Yeah.
But the fact that our final film for this month just straight up name drops Polk County. What beautiful.
What a dream. You know what?
What a treat. What a dream.
I couldn't have staged it better myself. It's like poetry. It rhymes. And that's all I got for the Florida project.
Well, Will,
Yes.
we're continuing a theme.
Yes, we are.
Next month,
Oh, yeah.
we're doing Financial Crisis Month.
Yeah, so-
that's our name for it, I think.
Yeah, financial crisis.
Yes.
So one of the things that when I was pitching this movie and I wanted to end on the Florida project, it's because a lot of these people are destitute in the film. They are living paycheck to paycheck or hustle from hustle just to keep them up. And I know that there are a lot of people that did feel the effects of the financial crisis in 2008 that never really got any better. I personally know a couple of people that had struggled for quite some time after it to, carve out a livable situation for themselves. So I was thinking, hey, you mentioned The Big Short on one of our episodes a while ago, and explaining to me the headspace of that director who I produced The Menu, and like how he was so interested in the financial crisis, and how a lot of his films after that started to do like critiques on wealthy businessmen fucking over everybody. It just kind of like it all culminated together into this idea of what if we did a month about 2008. So some of the movies that we're looking into are Arizona, a film with Danny McBride in it, and I can't remember if it's Catherine Hahn who's the protagonist.
Oh, I hope so. I love her.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie set in Arizona, and I cannot wait to talk to you about it because you have not seen it, but I have. We're going to do Hell or High Water, which is a fucking awesome movie. I took a chance on that one last year, and I know that you quite enjoyed it.
Yes.
We're obviously doing The Big Short because it was name dropped previously, and I've never seen it. And then, what was it, Door to Door or Selling Houses? What was the last one?
99 Homes.
99 Homes
is the one I am really pushing for.
Yes.
We can talk about this later, but I kind of want to replace The Big Short because I think that's too on the nose.
Okay.
What
do you want to change it with?
The Big Short with Killing Them Softly.
Okay.
A movie that is technically still in the theme, but it's the complete opposite of The Big Short, where instead of being a big explainer movie for people that want to feel smart,
right?
It is a
Is that the
genre.
Brad Pitt movie?
Yes, it's a genre film where the financial crisis is just a theme that's happening in the background of it. It's subtle. It's the complete opposite of The Big Short. Though.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fine.
We can figure that out.
Yeah, I took a chance on that one, and I think I made it 20 minutes in, and I walked away from it.
That's the thing. That's why I don't want to fight for it too hard, because I didn't actually love it as much as people told me I would.
Well, 'cause, I don't know.
But I'm worried I'm going to watch The Big Short and be like, what the fuck? I hate this movie. Adam McKay. Adam McKay is the guy that
that's right.
does that
That's
movie
right.
and produced The Menu.
Yeah, but
The Big Short would make more sense, though. It's more in theme.
yeah, that's okay. We'll figure it out.
It's not the only financial crisis month we'll probably do. So
No, because and also that was another thing too. The debt ceiling was coming up because we were talking about this back in May, and it was just a bunch of stuff. And I was like, hey, we've lived through at least one financial crisis. Maybe another one soon, and it would be fun to visit that.
I think we've had at least two.
2008 and when?
2020 or 2020.
Oh,
Not
yeah, I guess
2000.
because
2020.
whatchamacallit, because of the
that
COVID.
was also a recession. We've lived through at least two recessions, like major recessions.
Going on a third one, baby.
I mean, there's something's going to bottom out, but I digress.
It's all good.
I mean, that's the whole point of The Big Short is like, this is going to happen again. Like nothing was created to stop it. You know?
So I hope that not only me and you enjoy these movies, I know that I'm going to enjoy Hell or High Water in Arizona because I've already seen them.
I
They're
need
great.
any excuse to rewatch it. It was fantastic.
Yeah. And I hope the listeners also enjoy our walk down history. Did you want to talk about anything else? You had a thing about... so hold on. We have to talk about Tomorrowland, Escape from Tomorrowland. And then you had a thing to bring up to me because I saw Transformers Rise of the Beasts this weekend for Father's Day with my father.
Let's talk about Tomorrowland first.
Okay.
So, is it good?
Okay, so when I watched this film, it's all in black and white, and it's all filmed on Disney property.
Illegally.
In the parks, illegally, but in the hotels, not.
Okay.
Because the whole theme of the movie is some loser is taking his two brat children and his wife that he obviously no longer is attracted to Disneyland, kind of like fucking Mr. Blair from Blue Ruin is doing in this film.
Right.
It's very similar. And the first day that they go into the Magic Kingdom, our protagonist is kind of fixated on these two they're two
Younger
like tourist
women.
girls, but they're like young.
Oh.
I don't know how young they are. I think they were both like in the 19, 20.
Are they coded to be younger though? Like
No,
maybe
because they're
not?
there with their boyfriends and they're not there with their family.
Right.
So like they're either tourists or locals that are able to get into Disney, on their own.
Right.
But he's like fixated with them, and he wants to obviously have sex with them, and it turns out that they are staying in the same hotel as him, and so like you get shots of where they're hanging out in the pool and they're there and he can't stop looking at them.
He's leering.
He's fantasizing about them, and his wife catches on, and so he's like, fuck, I gotta, it's our anniversary or something like that, and he's got to find some sort of gift for her, and that becomes like the main plot device. But at a certain point when they go to Epcot, he rides Soarin', which I had never ridden before this movie, so like I didn't know what the fuck happens in it.
I rode in a super long wait line to ride that.
Yeah, it's whatever. But like they changed the what's playing on the screen in the movie. Like he's filming it while he's writing it, but they change some of it out, and one of the girls like like starts talking to him, and then like she kind of like they do a whole full body pan of her, like she's lifting off. It's fucking weird. And he starts realizing like there's some weird shit happening in the parks, and it all culminates in him getting inside the Epcot ball, and they've got like Disney's head frozen in there, and the guy who's pulling the strings is like trying to subtly manipulate people to spend money. I don't know. I can't remember like the ending. The ending was fucking weird, but it was interesting.
Yeah.
There is a YouTuber named Jenny Nicholson who.
Oh, I know her.
Yeah, she did a thing on Escape from Tomorrowland. In fact, when I thought about Escape from Tomorrowland, I couldn't remember the name. And you guys can't see me doing this, but I am now showing Jared my phone that I had to look through her videos in order to find the name of the movie, because it's right there, and it's 47 minutes long, and it was done 5 years ago. Excellent. If you want a better review of it, listen to her, and her review is scathing. She fucking hates that movie.
So I remember there was a ton of press during the release of this film.
Yeah.
Because Disney was trying to shut it down.
Yes.
They were pissed about it.
I think they sued them.
I'm sure they did.
Or they tried to.
I don't know if they won.
No, they didn't, because it got released. It was on Netflix.
Yeah. And I know somebody who owns a DVD copy of it, because it was kind of like a coveted thing where it's like, you need to buy this now because it might go out of print and it might get sued into oblivion.
Yeah.
But I remember waiting for the reviews like with bated breath, and then when they came out, it was like, it's
it's
fine.
whatever.
It's kind of like a student film. Like, it's maybe not worth all the controversy. And I'm like, oh, of course, it's one of those things. You know,
There's
where it's just drummed up controversy for
one part in the movie where a worker does tell him to turn his camera off.
No shit.
Yeah, there is that. Like they snuck in the camera and the sound equipment in two different backpacks.
Yeah.
And I guess I got past, or maybe security wasn't beefed up by that point. I can't remember when it got like.
Oh, I'm sure after the film came out too, they had to train employees to be on the lookout for people trying to pull that shit.
Yeah,
down,
probably.
too. Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting. They even got the film equipment on Thunder Road or Thunder Mountain.
Yeah.
Because there's a sequence in the beginning of the film where they're shooting Thunder Road and someone's head they get decapitated.
Oh god.
But like it's obvious, it's
the urban legend that everyone loves to tell.
Yeah,
about
it's
that ride,
incredibly fake.
Yeah.
Though. But yeah, Tomorrowland is if you're interested in like weird movies, like movies with a like this is the twist to it, like this is this thing wouldn't exist if they didn't bring the camera into Disney World, then you should check it out.
Movies with like weird hooks that are there to drum up controversy. Yeah. Like Spring Breakers, honestly. I mean, fits that genre.
But it's okay. Definitely, if you're interested, give it a watch. It's not that bad.
So, Will, you also saw Transformers
Rise of the Beast.
Thank you.
Yeah, come on. What do you want? What do you want to know? I'll tell you everything. I'll spoil the whole fucking movie right here.
In like 2 sentences. Was it good? What were your thoughts? You know what I mean? Just like a general. You don't need to run through the whole plot.
No,
just
that's
like,
fine.
I think you were generally pretty favorable on it.
Yeah, I enjoyed
I was surprised by from everything else I've been reading.
Here's the thing. They did the same thing in this movie that they did in the fourth?
Dark of the Moon? I don't know.
It was either the third or the fourth Transformers movie where they introduced Grimlock and the other dinosaur Transformers.
That's 4, which I believe is like the last night or something. It's something night, right?
I don't know.
Anyway.
It doesn't matter. But like, so Grimlock was in all of the fucking, commercials. They're like we've got dinosaur Transformers.
We got Dinobots finally.
Yeah, Optimus Prime is fucking riding this metal T-Rex. It's going to be awesome. And they don't show up in the film until the last like 20 minutes.
No way.
Oh, have you not seen that movie? Yeah,
I mean in Rise of the Beast too.
So hold on. Rise of the Beast almost does that.
Yeah.
I'd heard that they hid all of the Beast Wars stuff at the end of the film, and that's not true. The movie actually opens up with Optimus Primal and some of the other Maximals fighting against the main villain, this thing called Scourge. I don't even know if he was a real Transformer or not, but he's a Terracon, which is not a Predacon, which is the enemies of the Maximals and Beast Wars, and it's not a Decepticon. It's something different. I guess they're like tools of Unicron. And if any of this makes sense to you, Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. But it opens up with the Maximals escaping and one of them staying behind to fight Scourge, and he's another gorilla, kind of like Optimus Primal, but I can't remember his name. And he gets fucked up immediately. And it's actually a really cool action sequence. And then there's a lot of nothing in the middle, a lot of human stuff, which the stories of the two human characters are kind of interesting because they're different. They're not like Sam Witwicky. They're not like a nerdy white college kid.
Completely forgettable character that is only just there to not be $1 million a frame, essentially.
Right. Yeah. So Noah Diaz is our main character, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I forgot the girl's name, and I feel so bad. I think her name's Aaliyah.
I don't think Michael Bay wants you to. Well, sorry,
it's not Michael Bay
didn't
movie.
make this movie.
It's
I
a Michael Bay
apologize.
produced movie, but it's not a Michael Bay made movie.
Sorry, it's hard to separate Transformers from Michael Bay at this point.
Michael Bay would not let them put a black female lead in this film. Let's be real.
Oh.
And you can cut that out if you want. I don't fucking care.
No, I mean I agree with you, but
He would not. And so just blow through it real quick. There's a lot of action sequences. They're very cool. I enjoy it. I like watching robots shoot each other. I'm a big fan of Pacific Rim, so it is what it is. When they finally get the Maximals in there, also very cool. I'm a big fan of Beast Wars. I grew up watching Beast Wars. That was like my favorite fucking show as a kid.
Great. Yeah.
And they do a lot of really cool stuff in Beast Wars, and I wish that they had gotten to that stuff in this movie, but clearly you have to have Optimus Prime and his fucking gang of hooligans doing their stuff. You really can't pull away from it. And there's a really cool action sequence at the end. Is like fucking half an hour of just constant agonizing violence. And Optimus Prime is an absolute savage. This man is constantly talking about ripping people's hearts out or ripping their heads from their spine, or even dissing the big bad by saying, oh, I'll give you what you want. And then Optimus Prime basically says, then die. It's fucking cool. Like, he's a badass, but he's like completely unhinged at the same time. It's great. But the neat aspect is this movie was filmed or directed by the guy who did Creed 2.
Okay.
And I know that him and oh my fucking god, Ryan Coogler have collabed because Ryan Coogler wrote Creed 2. So
Stephen Capel Jr.
Yeah, Stephen Capel Jr. And so I know that he brought his unique perspective to this film by having the main character be a Puerto Rican who lives in New York, a Puerto Rican man who lives in New York, and a black girl who lives in Brooklyn. I forgot what part of New York Noah lives in, but they bring different perspectives to the film. Like Aaliyah, she's an intern at a museum, and the person who oversees her is a white lady who is constantly stealing credit for Aaliyah. Her brilliance in artifacts and stuff, and they make it a point. And there's a character who kind of uses Noah's situation, his monetary situation, to steal from the rich, and he gives this whole thing about like rich people donate to causes all the time. We're just making that choice for them. I'm doing what I can in the soul-sucking society that is capitalism. They even have a commentary about how healthcare isn't free, and it hurts children who don't understand the situation that they're in, and they're suffering. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of really neat, there's a lot of things
that maybe Michael Bay wouldn't have had in his film.
Absolutely not. And there wasn't gratuitous panty shots in this movie. There wasn't looking at fat people and kind of leering at them. There's a lot of
racist overtones by the single Autobot that's voiced by a black character who is might as well be doing a minstrel dance.
He only says
before being ripped in half.
He only says one line in the movie, and it's "Sup, little bitches," and then they rip him apart. It's fucking crazy. There is actually a racist joke in the movie, though.
Oh no!
Yeah, but it's I don't know. So this is how it works. They go.
Do you even want to?
Yeah, they go to they go.
I'm gonna cut this. So.
No, it's fine. They go to Peru, right? And there's already an Autobot there, and he's like a Volkswagen van, and he transforms and stuff. And he's like nerd coded. He's got little glasses. He's got suspenders and stuff like that. But he talks with an accent. He talks with a South American accent. And Noah catches on this, and he starts speaking Spanish to him. And then he's like, you know what? I shouldn't have assumed that. It's just I heard your accent, and I thought to myself, why would a robot have an accent? And is that racist? Oh no. And the robot says, and you don't want to assume this because it's kind of racist. And Noah's like, I didn't think that, you know, how could I be racist against a robot? Like, and also like with the same, it was
That's
played
pretty
for,
funny.
It was played for laughs, but
Yeah.
man, it went over everybody's fucking heads in that theater because they didn't get it. I don't know. Nobody laughed at that except me.
Damn, it sounds funny, and it's not like offensive. It's
No,
like,
it's not.
It's like playing on like, oh, I'm sorry, that was prejudice of me to assume.
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But, like,
exactly.
Maybe that, whatever. People suck.
It was silly. I enjoyed it. Okay,
So,
what's
Will,
up?
the reason I brought this movie up,
Yes, is because now you want to see this movie because I
no,
just sold you on it.
No, no,
Pete Davidson's the main robot.
that's not working on me.
I know.
So I heard that there is an insane plot twist like 10 minutes before the end of the film. So it doesn't stand out to you?
Oh, you're talking about the G.I. Joe thing.
No fucking shit.
Oh, is that not what you're referencing?
I don't know. I didn't
Oh,
look
okay.
it up because I saw some people I follow on Twitter talking about it, talking around it, and saying that they all, like, because of this, had looked it up on Wikipedia and had to read the synopsis just to see what it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not going to look any further into this. I'll just ask Will about it on the pod.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe shows up in this movie?
So this is
You
actually
fucking kidding me?
So I knew about this before I went to see the film.
Oh my god.
I knew about this about 2 months ago.
because of 4chan?
Yeah. Because the TV
Of course
board.
it was.
Yeah, I told you I read a synopsis about this in January and it was spot on.
Oh my
Everything that they
God.
said was spot on. Yeah, so
So the script actually did leak and somebody got it on 4chan.
So
I guess,
here's the fun thing about this G.I. Joe thing, right? They actually planned to do it in Bumblebee.
Of course.
They were going to have Haley Steinfeld, you know, age up or whatever, and she joins G.I. Joe or whatever, or like it's the how you say the group started.
Yeah,
right?
what is that group called? I never watched. G.I. Joe was before our time.
Yeah, I didn't watch it either.
Well, and the original G1 Transformers and G.I. Joe were both...
They aired at the same time, but they weren't...
But they were both products created
Yeah, by Hasbro.
as toys to
Yeah.
be sold to children, with the TV show being the deliverable, the
Yeah.
advertising unit in which to sell the toys to kids.
Yeah.
Which only became legal because of a bunch of laws that Ronald Reagan, who was president at the time, lifted.
Hold on, I can thank...
I'm going on a tangent.
I can thank
sorry.
Ronald Reagan for Transformers.
Yes,
Fuck
directly,
yeah. You know
yes.
what? I'm going to take back everything that I said in Taxi Driver.
Because before he lifted these laws, if you were to market a show to children,
Yeah.
it had to be educational. It couldn't just purely be in the service of pushing a product. And when Reagan removed those laws, you got your G.I. Joes, your Transformers, and eventually even your Pokemon and so on
Yeah.
and so forth. Although that's, Japanese based.
Well, you know, I did learn something from watching Transformers as a child, and that is there is more than meets the eye. But anyways, yeah, so
Grown.
at the very end of Bumblebee, they originally were going to have a G.I. Joe tie-in, and they were like, not yet, let's not do that. But they were going to do it for this one, and they did. And they kind of asked Noah to join their group, and they kind of show the stuff in the back, and he looks at a business card and it says G.I. Joe right on it. And so they're having a Hasbro verse, baby. And,
Great.
we'll visit this in 3 years when the Wikipedia for the Hasbroverse dies because much
goes
the,
dark. Yeah. The fandom wiki goes dark because they're
They've
trying
gotten
to
rid of it.
rewrite history and
Yes.
take away our dark Hasbro universe.
Yeah. But no, I mean, like, I really liked Bumblebee. I've told you this. I've really
Oh
liked
no, I hear that one's great.
All right, and this one isn't that bad either. There are like some really stupid decisions that they have to make in order to keep the plot going, which is, it's whatever. That's a Transformers movie, baby. But the action was good and gratuitous, and also like it brought a tear to my eye to hear, Optimus Primal say, Maximals maximize, and it brought me back to being like 6 years old and watching these characters that I liked be brought to the big screen,
with
reimagined.
What you thought were incredible graphics at the time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when you pull it up on Netflix, you're just like, oh my god.
So
this
actually,
was acceptable.
You know what's really cool? They did do a Transformers series in 2022 where they basically like redid the story and they brought in the Beast Wars characters. So you get to see everybody digitally updated, and it was actually really neat. I Okay, we're way over an hour. I don't want to bore you with too much Beast Wars details.
I think half the episode is just the plot of Transformers now.
No, I didn't, dude. You really want me to do the plot because it's 2
No.
hours and 40 fucking
No,
minutes.
in fact, I asked you to give me a 2-sentence summary of your opinion on it, and then you went on to
I'm
do
sorry.
the whole film.
I thought you asked me.
That's
like,
why I was laughing so much earlier too.
I thought you were like describe the film in 2 sentences, and I was like, it's
No,
impossible.
I was like, what did you think about it? Was it good?
You want 2 sentences on my opinion? Yeah, I enjoyed it because I'm a big fucking dumb robot person. I like dumb robots. You know what? The transformations in this movie were a lot cleaner and steadier to see because they didn't have Michael Bay's shaky cam. Although I did take notice they still did the fucking hero shot.
Oh, you can't not now.
But it's not a Michael Bay film.
I
just didn't
understand,
expect
but
them to
they
do
are
it.
living in the shadow. Like they are.
Yeah.
This is a Michael Bay franchise. He's done 7 of the movies. You can't
Yeah.
just not do the iconic shot.
Sure.
You can't make a Batman film and not show him standing on a statue or on the top of a building with his cape flowing. You know? I mean, for fuck's sake, it's
true.
iconic for a reason.
Also, I will say that the enemies in this movie weren't like a shitty, just metallic, like no color palette. Like everybody
Yeah.
had color to them,
Yeah.
which I did
Just
enjoy.
just angles, just polygons, essentially.
Yeah. Wait, I mean, like the mooks, the faceless enemies that were dying were obviously metallic polygons that had no personality. But the 3 main villains
Right.
actually had color, had a personality-ish. You know, they weren't like. I just remember like seeing the Decepticons and all of them being this shitty metallic, and that's it.
Yeah.
They even have a fucking TV show accurate transformation of Optimus Prime, like how he used to transform in the fucking 80s cartoons. He does it in the movie, and you know what?
They got to sell that toy, man.
It doesn't take much to please me, and boy, I was quite pleased. My
Well,
dad liked it too.
Speaking of gratuitous action,
Yeah.
I watched John Wick 4,
Oh, finally.
Chapter 4 over the weekend. It finally came out on Blu-ray, and
Yeah.
my Steelbook finally arrived, and I
Yeah.
popped it in Friday night at 11 o'clock, and then realized it was a 3-hour movie, and was like, why the fuck is this movie 3 hours
It's
long?
3 hours?
What's 250 essentially?
Holy shit.
So that movie's bloated,
Yeah, I've heard it's not the best one.
and you haven't seen it.
No, I haven't.
All right, I'm not going to spoil it,
Okay, thank you.
but I don't think I like 3 and 4 as much as 1 and 2.
I've heard people on the internet say the same thing.
Yeah, it's just they've lost something. It's not as sharp. It's not as well written, and it just feels like it just goes on just to go on and on. The bloat factor, essentially. Like there's too much happening. There's too much. Throw 1 or 2 guys at Keanu, he dispatches them. Throw another 2 guys at Keanu, he dispatches them, and it's like, I don't know. Even the action scenes felt more, in the moment, more impressive, and there's a lot of great
Really cool
scenes,
stuff,
a lot of like, I was really impressed with like, there's a staircase scene that everyone hyped up, and it is fantastic. It lived up to the hype.
How was Donnie Yen in it?
Donnie Yen's incredible.
Okay, cool. They didn't kill him off immediately like they did Common, did they?
No, in fact, I will spoil this.
Yeah.
Donnie Yen, I believe, is getting a spinoff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I love that guy.
But he's great. His character is really interesting.
Cool.
When he's introduced, he's maybe more interesting than he was by the end of it.
Okay.
So there's like a great scene where he is not participating in a gunfight.
Yeah.
He's just off to the side slurping a big bowl of noodles. And the guy that's brought him along for the fight is like, hey, what are you doing? Get up and fight. But Donnie Yen is great. He's chewing it up. He's having a great time. Him and Keanu clearly enjoy each other. They had some good chemistry.
Tight. Very good.
But yeah, I did a little bit of research, and yeah, so the guy that wrote a majority of the first and second movie was taken off of 3, and a different guy was brought in, a guy that writes for the fucking Snyder movies. Oh. He's a big Zack Snyder collaborator. He did like Army of the Dead and the Justice League, and then this other the Netflix movie he's doing that's like sounds like Star Wars a little bit. What is it? Rogue Moon?
Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon, yeah.
I'm so excited to watch that movie.
Hey, that could be something.
It's either going to be great or I get to rip it a new one.
It's going to be something.
It's a big win for me.
That guy takes swings, so
He
fuck
does,
it, whatever. But yeah, and I'm like, oh, is that the easiest thing to point to and be like, this is why I don't like 3 and 4 that much?
I think you
like,
could. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I love John Wick.
Yeah, I know you do.
You can't not love John Wick.
They're
you
fun.
know? And John Wick 1 is so great.
Is this the reason why you're trying to be extraction pilled?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to dive into the Extraction films because 2 just came out, and I've been hearing nothing but incredible things about it.
Yeah.
And Will, I got to tell you, I watched 2 very long clips the other day of it, and I was getting the Raid vibes.
Oh, no.
I'm not
Are you
lying.
fucking serious?
I'm dead serious. I might show you one of these clips just to like show you where I'm coming from.
Pop it up whenever we're done. In fact,
I will.
Fucking roll credits.
But there's a scene where Chris Hemsworth is attacking a helicopter with a minigun, and he hides behind a stepladder for cover that people have been tearing down on Twitter. But every time people do it, they're like, yeah, and this is still an incredible film. Do you want Arizona to be our first film?
Fuck yeah. You haven't seen it. Well, is it? Yeah, you haven't seen it. And I'd prefer...
Actually.
Yeah, what's it? What you got?
I have a proposition.
Okay. Do you have like a random, like a spin the wheel and it chooses for you?
No, even better.
Oh, okay.
Okay, what if
Our
first financial crisis movie
Yes.
is set in Florida?
Okay. Oh, is this the 99 Homes?
Yes.
All right, let's fucking do it.
That's our bridge.
A big... we find out that this guy's actually selling the Magic Castle Hotel at one point. I'm just kidding.
Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they are in suburbs that we recognize, but I don't know what part of Florida it's set in.
Tight. We'll find out.
So we're going to do 99 Homes.
Fuck yeah.
On the next episode.
You know what? Let's do this.
Yes.
You start in Florida, right? And you work your way across America. Because Hell or High Water's in Texas.
Oh.
Arizona's in Arizona, obviously. Where's The Big Short? Like, where does it mostly take place? Don't tell me it's New York.
I mean, it is. If you were to pick one state, it's New York.
Okay.
Because
So
they're all Wall Street traders.
Florida, New York, Texas, Arizona.
Yeah.
Let's do
Oh,
it.
yeah. I like going out on Arizona because that seems that and 99 Homes I think are the most promising, but we've already seen The Big Short.
Yeah. Well, I haven't, but that's fine.
You haven't?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you're not missing it.
Can't wait for that episode.
No,
You're selling
it's
it real
fine.
good.
It's fine. I feel like because of the theme of the month, we kind of have to do it, especially if you just, weren't cognizant of the time, or you just didn't keep up with the news and you just kind of missed it somehow. It's a good primer for like an everyman. But yeah, join us next week.
Next week.
For
Starts next week.
99 Homes, starring Michael Shannon and Andrew Garfield.
Boom. There you go.
All right. Thanks for listening, folks.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Okay, goodbye.
Debaser is hosted by Will Taylor and Jared Rusk. The podcast is edited and produced by Jared Rusk. Want to email the show? Send it to podcast@debaserpod.com. Want to help us out? Please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice, especially Apple Podcasts, and tell a friend or two to listen to Debaser. Thank you for listening, and take care out there.